Hey everyone, Diavolo here, and welcome back to my review for chapter 240 of Tokyo Revengers. If you guys are new around here and want to keep up to date with not only Tokyo Revengers reviews, but other reviews in general, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and also be sure to leave a like on the video, as it really helps out with that algorithm and pushes my stuff to a bunch of new amazing people. Also, if you guys are interested and want to get in the chapters as soon as they come out, then make sure you join my Discord, which I will leave a link to down in the description below, and someone will just ping everyone when the chapters do release. But anyway, enough of that, let's get into this week's review. So chapter 240 kind of starts out with Hikai and Takemichi discussing with each other what they're going to do in regards to Chifuyu and him kind of being, you know, like the team manager here, because obviously they're not too happy with the overall look of their gang right now, if you know what I mean. And as Chifuyu ends up showing up into the room, he's like, you know, like, what's going on here, and tries to ask the guys what they were talking about, but Takemichi and Hikai like kind of awkwardly try and play it off like there's nothing going on here and try and tell him in an undertone way what is going on. But before they can properly explain to him what they were thinking about exactly, he says to them that time when I saw Mitsuya on stage, he thought of something, and then it kind of skips away immediately from what he was saying here and doesn't really, you know, like fulfill that, to the surprised look of obviously Takemichi as well, who's like, what do you mean? What are you going to say? And it skips to Mitsuya, who's actually outside in a now meeting with the small gang that they've got together here. And Mitsuya asks Chifuyu, like, you know, what's up with the formalities? And he like instantly asks Mitsuya if he could take over his role as the team leader for him, as he felt like his skills as an advisor were lacking in comparison to Mitsuya's, and that he thought he would be able to do a better job as the team, or like the manager of the team. Obviously probably because he was in like some sort of similar position last time with Toman. I would imagine him being, you know, the designer of the uniform and everything would make sense as some kind of like manager as well. Obviously he would have managed that and all that kind of stuff. He's probably got quite good managerial skills. And Mitsuya like immediately accepts the offer, but then quite surprisingly to Chifuyu, he's like, I'll redesign the uniform and the team's logo on top of that, to like the complete and utter surprise of Chifuyu, who's kind of just standing there like, what? And the other two guys like Takemichi and Hikai almost bawling in tears, thanking him that he's just brought it up at random and they don't have to explain to, you know, Chifuyu what is going to happen with his Thousand Winters logo and gang here. And something that I really like actually kind of happens here with Mitsuya, and he kind of brings up to Chifuyu that they're going to face the Kanto Manjin gang. They need to be serious, and I think that's kind of like a good way to look at it. The Thousand Winters gang and the logo, it was kind of a nice in-between little part to the arc that we were having here, but it didn't feel serious. Like every other gang had this kind of like hype and seriousness behind it, like Valhalla or, you know, Tenjiku. It had like these sick ass logos that kind of meant something. And right here, the Thousand Winters, the logo meant something, Shifuyu's cat with a snowflake, but it didn't really feel like Tokyo Revengers to me. So I'm really happy that Mitsuya is going to be the one designing the logo and, you know, uniform as well. He's going to make it look awesome. I can just imagine, you know, like how he's going to make it look. So I really can't wait to see. It's probably going to be next chapter is what I'm hoping for. But yeah, anyway, like moving on. He also brings up the idea that Parchin and Payan are actually going to be joining them as well, and he looks forward to having their big first meeting. And then Inyapay actually steps in here, and something that's awesome, it's kind of like finally giving all the fans really what they want here by regrouping and, you know, like having the reformation of the original Toman gang almost in a way here, as the Kawata brothers, or Smiley and Angry, have also, you know, like heard about what's going on here and have flipped out at the fact that they weren't invited first. So I'm super stoked to see that they're actually going to be, you know, a part of the gang here. But that there finally makes 9 members to this new gang that doesn't really have a name yet. I guess we'll still call it Thousand Winters for now. But as it kind of leaves off from here, Mitsuya says to Takemichi that they're all counting on him. So I'm super excited to see, you know, like where they're going to go in the up and coming chapters. But obviously from this point, it kind of skips away to Takemichi, who, like, Mitsuya kind of picked up on the idea that he might have been inviting someone else. And it skips away to a meeting between Takemichi and Takomi. Takomi asks Takemichi, you know, like if he wants to meet Senju or not. With Takemichi replying that of course he did, as she wouldn't pick up her phone, so he had to come and see him to, you know, like get in contact with her. And he tells him that she's been in extremely low spirits ever since, you know, like the conflict that has just happened. And while they're walking into, you know, like the big Brahmin lookout, you can see that Senju is kind of just sitting alone where the B1 fighting organization used to be and kind of thrive. So I think it's going to show that Brahmin was the overbearing force of the B1 organization here, and the whole thing itself is kind of shut down with Senju following through with her words, obviously, and actually, you know, going through with what she said to Mikey and shutting down her gang. So I'm wondering if, you know, like she's going to end up joining Takemichi here. Obviously, there's something that most of us probably know is going to happen at the end of this chapter here, which is the flashback now. But moving on to that, Senju brings up the idea that this is enough, Hanagaki. She says, like, I've learnt my lesson from that battle. I don't stand a chance winning against Mikey, not even South. Because of my losses, Brahmin is over. Kawaragi Senju is now retired. But Takemichi steps in and says, like, no, Senju, it is not the end. So, like, before I quickly carry on here, something I also want to point out is, obviously, that's not her real name. That was her, like, moniker or the name that she had while she was the leader of Brahmin. Her real name is Akashi Senju. So, like, I don't know. Like, I'm pretty sure that was her real name. It's only ever been, like, said once in the story. Everyone else still calls her by either just Senju or Kawaragi Senju. So, I'm assuming that her real name still is Akashi. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. But replying to what Takemichi had just said to Senju, she replies and says, it's over. I don't have anything left in me. But Takomi from behind Takemichi immediately replies and says, it's not over yet, Senju. And she's like, don't look at me with those eyes. And he says to her, you know you'll regret this. Obviously referring to the fact that, you know, she has pursued this, you know, like wanting to be number one constantly in the story so far that we've known her. That's all she's kind of wanted to fulfill, is being the number one. And there's obviously got to be a reason for it. And I think, you know, in the flashback that we are going to get, it's going to kind of explain to us what happened in the past between everything and why it's kind of turned out in such a turmoil state now. And Takomi even says, he's like, but me going crazy and Sanzu going astray isn't your fault. But she replies and says, like, you're wrong, bro. I've been keeping it a secret for a long time. The reason why Harichiro became such a terrible person, and also Mikey's impulses, I am responsible for all of it, which I think is kind of insane. I didn't really expect Senju to have such a large role, obviously, in this arc in terms of their actual overbearing story and playing into Mikey's dark impulses here. This is something that Waikoi has kind of brought out the blue, to me anyway. I really expected it to kind of just be stuff that had happened with Shinichiro and Kazutora having, you know, to come back from juvie, but I guess this is kind of a way that Kazutora isn't really involved in the story, possibly. So, I don't know, that's just a idea on my behalf. Maybe my theory on Kazutora was completely wrong and I've been off for ages now. But yeah, it looks like Senju's saying that she thinks she is responsible for all of it. And like Takemichi's like, what do you mean by that, Senju? And as it skips into a flashback, which is what we got here in the spoiler video 2 days ago. So if you guys do want to get that, obviously hit that subscribe button, as I will release these spoilers every week for Tokyo Revengers and Jujutsu Kaisen. The three of them were always together back then, obviously referring to Mikey, Baji, and Harichiro. So the fact that Baji is getting brought back into the story, even if it's in a flashback, man. I love my man Baji, and seeing him back in the chapter, back in any chapter, is just, oh, I love it. So I'm super happy to see Baji back here. But the fact that Harichiro has been friends with Mikey since he was a young child, and Senju as well, you know, like as she says here, and I was always following them from behind, telling them to like wait up for her. This is obviously, I'm guessing, why she wants to be the number one in Japan. She wants them to possibly even follow her for the first time. That was something that I was kind of hinting at in the spoiler video. I like that idea. I really thought that we were going to get more of a flashback throughout this chapter and have the kind of conversation start more midway between Takemichi and Senju here. But there was a little bit more of the wrapping up between, I guess, the Tokyo Winters side of things, which is kind of good that that's really come to an end here. As I'm not gonna lie, these last few chapters have been a little bit slow, but that kind of makes sense for everything and how it works, with having to, you know, like obviously rebuild a gang here, and Takemichi not really knowing exactly what to do, and kind of going against everything that he's said in the past with not wanting to bring back previous people into his gang and possibly mess up their lives. But now that Draken's completely passed away and things that have happened, I think Takemichi realizes that he can't do this alone, and he needs to, you know, reach out for help from his friends and the people that he has met from throughout the entire story so far. So yeah, I'm super excited to see where the story does go, and super stoked to, you know, like finally get towards these, you know, like last few chapters here, or at least the last few chapters before what seems like the final battle, as it feels like they may have finally cemented what their gang might be. They're 9 members of the new gang that doesn't have a name yet, or it doesn't have a logo or uniform yet. But yeah, if you guys have enjoyed the video, then do make sure you leave a comment down in the comment section below and let me know what you guys thought of the chapter as well, and kind of what you think next week might behold for us. And if you are new around here and want to keep up to date with the latest Tokyo Revengers reviews and Jujutsu Kaisen reviews and spoilers as well, then make sure you hit that subscribe button, and also be sure to leave a like on the video, as it really helps out with the algorithm and pushes my stuff to a bunch of new amazing people. But anyway, for now, it's been your professional degenerate, Diavolo, and I will see you all in a bit. Bye.